Dial.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Framework. Today is a very special episode. I got my good friend Dom with me. We are going to chat it up, coming fresh off the Universe stage. I know we bounced this around a little bit over the last couple of days. We wanted to definitely sit down and chat. So it's a little late at night. We both had some busy days. So, man, let's dive right into it. So, how are you feeling? Talk to me a little bit first about just you absorb the whole week. Let's kind of work in reverse, right? So talk to me about the stage, talk to me about how you're feeling. We can talk about placing if you want to, and
Yeah,
we'll go from there.
open book, man. So whatever you want to talk about, dude. How I'm feeling great right now, dude. Now the calories are up. I'm definitely
Yeah.
feeling a hell of a lot better. Yeah, I'm feeling good. Definitely feeling good. Excited for the future. You know what I mean? Just excited for what's to come. As far as the competition goes and stuff like that, it was a grueling prep. Like it was a long prep, and a lot of it was like kind of what transpired before prep even began, right? Um, so I think it made prep a little bit more difficult than it should have been, but we got through it. Honestly, despite placing, I couldn't have asked for a better outcome in terms of how the physique, responded to everything and just kind of how I looked on stage. Like that was literally the best I could have brought. It wasn't awarded and all that, but when I look at the competition, it's like, well, you know what? Like these guys all look amazing. So couldn't have asked for, obviously just a better experience. I think first time stepping on a national level stage. Um, it was a blast, man. It was definitely a blast.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I mean, even just following you along from the jump, really, it's like watching your friends transform their physiques and then watching them get on a stage almost to a degree. Like I was envious. I was like, fuck, man, like he looks fucking awesome. Like these photos are sick. Seeing your check-ins, bro. And I wasn't kidding the other day when I was like, I had commented on your transformation picture, and I was like, this is a motivating. I mean, this is everything, right? Like this is looking at where you were essentially, and you put in your caption. I'll quote you. Even you're like, this was rock bottom, and you were at a point where you were like, hey, this is arguably since you started training the worst your physique has ever looked. And then to see where you were, I mean, dude, your tan was spot on. You hit your poses clean. At least I thought your posing looked good. Um, Listen, some
Agree to
transitions,
disagree.
whatever, dude. We'll call it.
We'll dive into that. I'll unpack that so you guys have like a better understanding of where I'm coming from when I say that because there's more that went into that, obviously, right? So pictures, people see photographs and they're like, dude, the posing looked great. I'm like, it's kind of like what happened on stage. It was my mindset going on stage and like doing the poses. Like it might have looked great, but it wasn't my routine. There was some things that I definitely messed up on, but we'll
Now,
unpack.
was this kind of this journey? I hate to use that term, but your road to universe, so to speak. This wasn't obviously your first NPC show ever, right? Leading into whatever you qualified for, and then to do universe.
Yeah, no, I competed like honestly like 10 years ago, dude. I'm coming off like a 10-year break.
Oh, shit.
It's been a while, right? It's been a very long time since I competed last and almost 10 years, right? It was like 8 or 9 years, something like that. But when I was competing, I was placing top five and stuff like that. I think I did a couple NPC shows. I did a WBFF show. It didn't go very well. But and then I started coaching, and this is like also when I opened the business, dude. 24 years old, right? Opened a business, a brick and mortar personal training studio. Um, I was just had a baby, right? My first child. So it's like life was just insane, like to say the least, right? Working 7 days a week, trying to be a dad, trying to be a husband, trying to, prep myself, take on more clients, build a business from the fucking ground up, brand, you name it, right? We're in the early stages where most businesses fail. So it was like, I just felt like I was kind of sinking and it was either continue to prep or just kind of go on in the coaching side, which made more sense at the time because, at this, I'm trying to build this business, right? So I needed to take on clients. I needed to make money, survive and stuff like that. So I kind of just put all my competition to the side and I went all in on coaching and in person and a little bit of online as well. Most of it was in person at that time, but Um, so it's been a long time. And then I never really got back into it. You know what I mean? I never really got back. The thought was always there, but then there's like the self-doubt that kicks in. You know what I mean? Like when you've been out of the game for that long, you start to think like, do I even have it in me? Could I even do that? There was a lot of that like talk, you know what I mean?
Oh
So
yeah.
just kind of reinforced that like, to stay away from the stage, just keep coaching and stuff like that. And it really wasn't until this past year that I made that decision. And honestly, it's because of my clients, my fucking team, dude, literally like planted that seed and just lit that fire. And part of it was like when I hit that rock bottom point, um, that was for me, that was kind of where it all began. And that kind of just kind of relit that flame to take my life back, dude, and stop running from everything and just get back to where I knew I could be. Because that whole rock bottom, I don't know if you want to dive into that part.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to back up a little bit because you made a good point there. You had mentioned, the stage will always be there, right? Like, oh, like, you just take the time and a
Yep.
month and a year and then more clients and then you add coaches to your team and so on. So I've actually said this in the past where I feel like that phrase, the stage will always be there, is one of the most defeating phrases in bodybuilding.
It really is.
How old are you now?
Just turned 36.
Okay, so let's unpack that, right?
Yep.
The last time you competed, essentially, if it was exactly 10 years ago, right, you're looking at 26, 27.
Yep.
At 26, 27, I got plenty of time to masters. I got, size to put on. I could be a little more conditioned. I'm 32, right? And so many people will tell me, well, muscle maturity is just coming in and, your training mentality is, more intense than it's ever been before. My variables couldn't be more aligned right now at 32 than they've ever been.
Mhm.
I got a kid. I got a career. You got kids. You got a wife. You got a career. Like, so now it's like, oh, well, the stage will always be there. For how much longer? Right? Like, yeah, it'll be there for the 23, 24-year-old kids because it is a new generation of bodybuilders out there, man. This is the social media era. And, the days of, and I'm guilty of this too, man, is like when I start getting into shape and I start getting the mentality to prep, I do very minimal posting. Bro, you're a
Yeah.
coach. You're trying to build client. You can't afford to not post
Yep.
consistently, right? So,
That was
uh,
one thing I really wanted to like just focus on because I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, right? And it's important for my team to kind of see. And part of like leading a fucking team, dude, is being the tip of the spear.
oh,
And I've always preached, it's like, my team knows that like I don't have them do shit that I haven't done or wouldn't be willing to do myself, right? There's none of this like do as I say, not as I do, right? Type stuff. So for me, it was like, if I'm going to go all in on this, like, or if I'm even thinking about stepping on this stage, like, I'm going all in. I want them to see what hard work looks like, discipline, consistency. And, once again, that like, I don't have expectations that I wouldn't have for myself, right? If not more, right? I hold myself to a higher degree than I would hold anyone else because
of
I
course.
know my breaking point. I know how hard I can push. You know what I mean? There's a little bit less of that like nurturing going on. I'm just like, dude, it's like all or nothing, right? Um, and I wanted to share it all. Like that was one thing I promised them. I was like, when I do this, like you guys are gonna hear it all. I'm not gonna hold back anything. I'm an open book. Just like I told you today, dude, I will share anything. Like the good, the bad, the ugly. They're gonna hear about the things that I'm struggling with. I'm not gonna hide that shit. They're gonna hear about my wins, my losses. I want them to see it all because I want it to be as raw as possible. And prep isn't always beautiful. There's gonna be some ugly phases in there. There's going to be lots of emotion in there, good, bad, you name it. And I want them to kind of be able to experience all of that so they get a better idea of what to expect when they're going through things, right? And that's one bit of feedback I keep getting from everyone is like how inspired they were from not so much like just the wins, but like to just this like to hear the losses too. And like to know that they're not alone. They're not the only ones that have felt that way or gone through that shit that like, hey, maybe everyone does, right? But not everyone shares that. So I made it a point to like post as much as humanly possible in terms of like check-ins, right? Not all my check-ins look great. There's some that I didn't love, but I wanted to post it, right? And I did the best I could. I know a lot of people just kind of like put their head down, bury themselves, and that might work for them. For me, like something about posting and sharing kind of held me accountable because I'm just like, they're expecting this shit, right? Can't really slip on my diet and then post these really terrible fucking progress photos, right? So, I wanted to make sure that I just, shared as much as I could. And honestly, for me, it was just like that accountability piece. It was like that extra layer that I needed. So,
Now you're self-coached. Do you coach yourself to the stage, or did you?
so I started my prep off by myself, kind of hit a stick point, and then I also kind of knew that I was like getting into waters that I've never tread before. So
Sure.
for me, I ended up like just researching coaches. I wanted to go with someone that I felt like had that same mentality that like practice what they preach. They didn't just like do this and they haven't done it before or not currently doing it. And that's when I kind of stumbled across this coach, Jamie. This dude's from Australia. He's an IFBB pro. He's an amazing coach. Been following him, watching all his stuff. I'll actually send you his tag. You can check him out too. But um, just everything. It's you'll watch a few of his videos and be like, dude, this guy is legit. Like how do you not want to give this dude 100% of you, right? Like I'm going to give this dude everything I have. He's going to draw it out of. He just has a way with you. Um, he connects and everything he says, it's raw. It's so real, and he practices what he preaches. And like that's the type of coach that I want. I want someone who's going to tell me fucking tell me exactly what to do, not sugarcoat shit. Don't blow smoke up my ass. If I don't look ready, I don't look good, tell me, right? Don't let me step on stage at 90%. It's 100% or we're not stepping on stage. I want someone because there's so many coaches out there just tell you what you want to hear just to keep you happy. And it's like that's
Transactional. It's transactional. The moment you tell a coach, for the most part, hey, I want to compete in 20 weeks. Sure, pay your down payment, sign this contract for 12 months, and we're in it.
it. And Jamie with him, it's like the what I got was it's not even about the money. Like we talked money day one. We haven't talked about it since. Like it was just there was nothing about it. It was just like straight to the point. Cool. Like give me the plan. Let's rock and roll, dude. There was no bullshit. And that's exactly what I needed. That's what I was looking for in a coach. And it was perfect, man. So I'm sticking with them. Like
Oh yeah.
we're continuing. I'm gonna go through my first improvement season and off season with a coach. I've always been self-coached, so this is like really well, one show I had a coach, but I got injured, didn't even end up stepping on stage. So this is the first coach I've worked with all the way through. So but yeah, man, the dude's absolutely amazing, and I can honestly say that I wouldn't have gotten to where I was and made it that far and hit that stage and brought that physique if it wasn't for him.
Now, what show did you compete at that qualified you for nationals?
Boston.
Okay. And so how many weeks did you prep for Boston, and then how many weeks from Boston to Universe?
So I think I started prepping. I was probably like 6 weeks in, hit a stick point, brought Jamie on. We started working together. There was a show in June, early June, June 14th that I was supposed to compete at. I signed up for this Boston one very early on because that was my game plan. I think I was probably like maybe 12 weeks. That would have been 12 weeks into prep. So I knew I was going to be like 100% dialed in, but I'm like, I should be dialed in enough to just to win it, right? Or at least get that qualification. It's funny. Jamie's like, dude, we're not doing it. I'm like, well, it's already paid for, dude. He's like, all right, fuck it, we're doing it, but we're not peaking. So I went into that show, dude, no peak whatsoever. He's like, we can't afford to, take a week off, go through peak and lose out on a week of fat loss. So no peaking, no carbing, nothing. Just literally just you're on low days. Just treat it like a normal fucking gym day, dude. So that's what I did. I got my spray tan, was literally didn't feed up for it whatsoever. Was hydrated. Everyone else is sitting there trying to dry out. I'm sitting there like fucking chugging water. Everyone's looking at me pissed, but went in there and my goal with that show was to literally just get feedback. It's like I haven't been on a stage in 10 years. I wanted to step on, get the rust out, get the jitters and shit like that. Fuck up, make some mistakes, get some feedback, and then take that feedback into Universe or the show in June, sorry, June 14th. And that's the one I was actually gonna get the qualification for. Lo and behold, I ended up getting the qualification in June, right? I just walked on, I ended up taking first in three different categories. So it was a clean sweep, got the qualification, punched that ticket, and hit up Jamie. He's like, hey, we're skipping the June show. There's no sense on doing it. You already got the qualification. So that's a good thing. So we ended up skipping the June show and just straight shot. I think it was like another 8 weeks or so, 8 or 9 weeks until Universe.
Were you enhanced for Boston over for Universe?
Stadium?
Technical issues.
Yeah, there we go. I got you.
Were were you? Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Were you enhanced for Boston or for Universe?
For both, yeah.
And
This is like the first contest prep I've ever been enhanced for. So was on TRT at that rock bottom photo. That's kind of like when I went on TRT, and just haven't touched anything. I upped it a little bit for June. Didn't really, or the Boston show. Didn't really know what the hell I was doing, but ended up kind of increasing that dose a little bit. And that's when he came in. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And just cleaned things up for me. We restacked everything and, just kind of helped me out a little bit there. So,
Sure.
so it definitely helped me hold on to some tissue for sure. Because I'm sure if I was doing it the way I was planning on doing it, I probably would have lost quite a bit of size, like most people do during
Sure.
contest phases. I actually was able to put on about 2 pounds of tissue during that fat loss phase. So from the
Talk to
start.
me a little bit about your peak for Universe. I mean,
Yep.
you may not have loved your placing, but you looked hard, dude. Like, I mean, density and conditioning was in your favor. So, let's start with, I guess, like that Saturday before, or whatever day you started kind of dialing stuff back. Tell me a little bit about the diet changes, the cardio. I mean, what were you doing?
Jamie's like he's a conditioning god, right? If you're not like it's we got shredded glutes, so we're not fucking lean, right? Regardless of if you're men's physique or bodybuilding or classic physique, you ain't got shredded glutes, you're not fucking lean. And it's one of those things that we have full control over, right? We might not be able to control whether the biggest guy on stage, right? That's a size thing, is just a time thing. But level of conditioning is just like how much are you willing to suffer, right? How long are you willing to suffer for? Are you willing to suffer harder than everyone else? So that's one thing that he was really driving for, is conditioning. It's like, bro, we might not be the biggest, but we're definitely going to be the most shredded, right? We're going to dial that shit in. So that's something that we really push for, is just like conditioning. We didn't want that to be an issue. And at this level too, like that was our main concern, is like it's a conditioning game, not so much a size thing until we hit the pro level. So the likelihood of anyone bringing a significant amount of size to that stage is probably not great. And fucking, I was wrong, but that's all right. So as far as like dieting and stuff like that goes, we were really just pushing for fat loss the entire time. So we were pushing. We started tapering cardio down a little bit. I want to say like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I want to say Sunday might have been my last day of cardio. And then come Monday, because we were competing on Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we didn't have any cardio program whatsoever, other than just, your normal daily steps and stuff like that. But we were riding some low days. Everything was low up until I think Monday. We pushed, calories up a little bit. So carbs came up a little, fat came up a little. And then really we did like a 2 day load. So Tuesday, we ended up pushing, loading, looking at the physique. This is where we started to dry out a little bit. Wednesday, looked at the physique again, and we're like going meal to meal. Like at this point, we're checking in after each meal. He's looking at the physique, he's adjusting it, or after every other meal. And then, so we did some pretty high days, Tuesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, looked at the physique. Thursday morning, it was just like, man, we nailed it. Like I think we peaked pretty good. So we ended up looking pretty damn full, for as full as I could have been, and as lean as I could have been, as dry as I could have been. So I mean, like conditioning point was, in my opinion, and their opinion, it was good. It was more of just a size thing.
At what point did you decide in your kind of comeback story, like, okay, men's physique is where I'll be the most competitive?
Men's physique is just where I've been comfortable, dude. It wasn't like I'll be the most competitive, because I genuinely think that maybe even bodybuilding, right? Like that's one thing that Jamie was pushing for me for. He wanted me to do bodybuilding, um, and more so because of the fact that I could have made lightweight, and I probably would have been one of the biggest lightweight bodybuilders, right? 155 pounds, I think, is lightweight. I think I stepped the lowest was like at the lowest was probably 154. I think I woke up, so I could have made lightweight bodybuilding.
I think lightweight is 154 and a quarter, dude. That would have been crazy.
Yeah, and we could have drove for more. That was like just what we hit. We weren't really driving for weight loss or anything like that. So we could have easily dropped it a little bit further. And then after loading, I was probably like 161, 162 that morning, Thursday of the competition. So, and as far as conditioning, the conditioning was there for bodybuilding. Glutes were striated, so it's not like we would have not been able to do that. Um, and his big thing is like it's just you have a better idea of the size of these people, right? Because if everyone's 154, they're all making 154, you're not going to be on stage with someone who's 175, 180. Men's physique, it's just height, right? So you might have a dude who's 175, one who's 180, one who's 165, all different sizes. But because it's all height classes, it's very possible to get outsized by someone who has a lot more tissue, where you don't really run into that with the bodybuilding as much, right? So
Yeah.
that was kind of like he was pushing for that. My big thing is I probably will end up doing that. I would love to, right? But the posing, this is like a whole new world to me. So we did some posing sessions together, and I definitely improve, right? I'm a quick learner when it comes to the posing, but definitely didn't feel 100% comfortable enough to step on stage. And like for me, it's like if I don't feel 100% ready, then I'm just not going to do it. So I definitely wasn't 100% ready. And then, some other things too, like my brother was visiting and stuff like that. So like the timeline it was just a little rushed, right? But that's to come. I'm going to be putting some size on, and then definitely not opposed to hitting the stage as a bodybuilder and trying to make either lightweight or middleweight too, depending on how much size I'm able to put on during the off season.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's interesting. You mentioned that it really came down to posing, which is kind of not most people's problem, right? It's like I want to be a bodybuilder, and you and I actually touched on this in an old conversation, right? Literally an episode we did on here was it's like I'm 100 and let's say my stage weight is 165. Some of these bodybuilders are getting on stage at 168, 169, depending on what the weight class is. In the OCB, it's just height. So that they don't, OCB doesn't give a shit about what your weight is. So you can't be 165 on stage getting up against a guy that's 184, right? And they struggle to get to 184, right? They start at 210, 215. So it's interesting to hear that your issue was posing, whereas opposed to most people's, it's usually a size thing. And I know at the end of the day, you got on stage and it did ultimately become a size thing, but it's kind of cool to hear you say like, well, I'm gonna get there, but this is kind of where we had to start because I think a lot of people discredit that where it's like, no, I want to be a bodybuilder, so I'm going to be a bodybuilder today. Where it's like, hey,
Yeah,
I want to be a bodybuilder, dude, but I started in classic and it just kind of worked for me, so we're going to keep riding that out, right? But yeah, it's kind of cool that you said that. So will you stay enhanced? Will you continue to run PEDs to continue to put on mass? Or are you going to take? Is that going to take a back seat and you're going to grow as much as you can? And tell me whatever you feel comfortable with. I don't want to push it.
yeah, no, no. So right now I'm just kind of cruising, right? Just more in a health phase, just making sure everything's, checks and balances and all that. So, which luckily, we've gotten blood work. Everything's looking great. It's been looking great all prep. So, um, knock on wood, but so definitely going into the improvement season. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try to put on as much tissue as I can, right? So that's going to come with some PEDs and stuff like that. My big thing is health is number one, right?
Always.
So if I even had the slightest indication that something was off, as much as I fucking love bodybuilding, dude, it's like I like being here too a little bit more,
Yeah, being around your wife and your kids and
way
having
more important than a fucking stage.
right after you got off stage, dude. I think one of the coolest things to see was the time that you spent. You guys went into the city, right? I think I saw some
Yeah,
picture. I
yeah,
mean
it's a lot
that
of fun.
it's fun to travel down from Massachusetts and do the show and kind of be in the shit that you missed for the last 10 years, but that day or two in the city I'm sure will hold way more memories than you know hitting your posing that you weren't comfortable with and walking off stage, right?
100%, dude. And I was just talking to someone about that too. It's like that I didn't want the whole trip to just be the stage and stuff like that. I had, my two girls with me, my wife with me, and we wanted to make sure that this weekend was for them too. So taking that little bit of time, even though it wasn't relaxing because we were clocking like
Yeah.
26,000 steps, dude, but we had a good time. And I think it's super important. It's so needed, dude. Like your question, like nailed that. The whole support, like part of like my response to that is like prep can be so demanding, dude, not just on us, but the family. Like they feel it. Like it's not just us. So Taking that little bit of time out was so needed for the family, just to us to kind of get away and just spend some time together. And you know, no distractions, no work, none of that stuff, just like us, you know what I mean? So it was a blast. The kids had a fun time. We had a blast, and we're even talking about doing it again next year. It's like if we end up running for Universe, which I would love to do, is like making it a yearly thing where I mean, I say yearly thing. Hopefully this next year goes a little better,
Yeah.
but you get what I'm saying though. Bring the kids down and make it a little weekend out of it and do something in New York again. So
I want to stay true to the time I gave you because I know you've been running crazy the last couple of days. So I want to touch on this transformation picture you put up, man, and I don't have it teed up, so I'll add your information in the bio for the description for the video. People can check it out. Man, where was your head at? What was going on physique wise? Was it just overwhelmed with work, overwhelmed with family stuff? What was going on in your situation? I mean, now that you are in the shape that you are in, and you and I have talked, now for probably 2+ years, that we just talk bodybuilding and fitness, dude. And now I can be honest with you. I mean, you looked terrible, right? And
I love
and
it.
I say and I say
You're
that
not
I
lying,
say
dude.
that I say that respectfully because it was like, man, I was worried about you, right? Like I was like, I was teasing and I was like, hey man, like no training videos, no, a little less on the physique stuff. Maybe about a year ago, I had commented, I was like, bro, your shoulders are looking nuts. Like, where did these come from? So I know that was kind of in the early phases of turning your shit around. So,
Yeah.
talk to me about where you were mentally and what you had said that, some of the people around you were the driving force to kind of flip that switch. But at the end of the day, dude, it happens at home, right? Like you upstairs have to be like, okay, this isn't right. Whether it be for your business, for your health, for your family, or for the stage. Where were you mentally and physically? And what do you think about it now, looking back, a year and a half?
Yeah, I mean, so that was about 2 years ago. I was just killing myself, dude, for the business. It was like we were past that early stage. We're in the growth phase. We're growing rapidly. And I had this thought in my head that like if I'm able to do this working 40 hours a week, what can I do if I work 80 hours a week, right?
Yeah,
What can I do? Well, shit, this works.
yeah,
What if I do 100 hours a week, right?
yeah.
So it's very easy to kind of get caught up in that, and I was extremely caught up in that. And everything, when I say everything, everything got thrown to the waistline. Like it was just like work, dude. That's every minute I was awake was consumed with work. So it took a toll on everything from relationship to me just as a parent, right? My health took a massive fucking hit. I was coming home, dude, barely making it home, just literally dozing off every time I'm in the vehicle trying to drive. Being woken up, as it hitting the side of the road, right? Getting home, moment you hit the fucking couch, you're just out cold, can't even stay awake. And it's like, dude, what's wrong? Like it just felt so off. I just didn't feel myself, felt extremely tired, fucking hated the way I was looking because I'm watching my physique just completely, I'm watching myself destroy myself. You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, it's like, I gotta work, So I just kind of hit this point where I'm just like, dude, I'm gonna fucking kill myself if I keep going down this path. Like something, like don't feel good mentally, physically, wasn't in a good place, and I knew that something had to be done. No one's gonna fucking save me. You know what I mean? It's either I dig myself out of this fucking hole that I got myself into, or I lay down and fucking bury myself. Like so, you know, ended up getting a physical, had some really bad blood work come back. That's when I found out like my testosterone levels were like fucking through the floor. And my doctor's like, yeah, that's extremely low for your age. Like that's a problem. So I tried every like natural test booster under the fucking sun. I'm
Yeah.
like, fix this. I'm gonna try eating healthier. I'm gonna start working out again. And I wasn't moving the needle. Still felt like shit. So that's when my doctor finally convinced me, like, dude, you should really think about like hormone replacement therapy, testosterone replacement therapy. And, I'm on it. And he kind of explained a little bit more. He educated me a little bit more. I started the education process, started learning a little bit more about it. And that's when I decided, all right, you know what? This is what my body needs. This is going to help me get a little bit healthier, kind of help me get back to where I was and just overall feel better, improve sleep, improve my mood because I was fucking not like it's everything, right? So ended up biting the bullet and jumping on TRT. And that kind of motivated me. It's like, it's just something went off, dude. I can't even, it's like a switch went off and it's like everything, like I just wanted to start exercising again. I wanted to feel better. It was just, I want to get as healthy as I possibly can. Started doing that, started feeling good again, started building some muscle again, was consistent with workouts, nutrition completely changed, started seeing my physique improve. And it was just like that fire was lit, man. It was just like, all right, let's see what I can do. Let's bulk up, let's add some size back on because I felt fucking scrawny. I had a lot of people, making comments, stuff like that. And it's like,
The worst.
dude, yeah, as no dude wants to hear that, but it's the truth. I can't sit there and be like, fuck this guy. But I'm like, yeah, he's not lying. I'm fucking tiny. I lost everything, right? So but I'm gonna fix that, right? I'm gonna get after it. I'm gonna fix that. And I did. So I bulked up. So I spent an entire year packing on size, dude. And it wasn't the good way to do it. It was
You
just
were
like,
pushing.
dude, as hard as I can.
You were pushing
Just the
food.
opposite end of the spectrum, right? So I went from like 161 to 205, right? That was like my peak bulk, 205. And not like, I mean, you've seen, I actually have, I'm going to drop another photo. It's like the peak of my bulk. And that was exactly 1 year ago. So it took me 1 year to get from 161 to 205. And that's when I'm like, dude, this is like a fucking problem. I'm like too heavy now, right? Blood pressure's high. Like I just felt fucking sluggish. And that kind of triggered me to like start stripping down some fat and cutting. So I made it a goal. I'm going to do it slow and steady. Started exactly in June, the end of June. So almost exactly a year before I stepped on stage. I did a 6 month cut and I went all the way down to 175 and it felt great. And this is where I started posting more. And I was like, man, like people are noticing. I'm getting comments, but you looking amazing and all this stuff, right? And this is where my clients started planting that seed. They were like, dude, you look fucking great. Like, you ever think about stepping on stage? I'm like, nah, 10 years ago, like, I'm
Yeah.
old, man. I'm washed up.
Not for me anymore.
Yeah. And then one of my clients, Audie, she mentioned it. Like a few of them just kept mentioning it. And I was like, it started just growing on me. I'm like,
You're like, what? Wait a second.
do I still have this? So I thought about it. I was like, you know what? Let me take a run at it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? I'm going to get my ass handed to me, right? But at least it's like I went out the way I wanted to. You know what I mean? So I bulked up, cut for 6 months, dropped down to 175. I wanted to start a contest prep, but I've been dieting for 6 months. A lot of metabolic adaptations have already occurred. I've already like pretty low in the calories. So I wanted to reverse for a little bit, give my body a break from the diet for about 12 weeks. And then I was going to start a contest prep. So I did that. I did a little reverse phase, brought my calories all the way back up. I was probably maybe around 4,000 calories a day and was able to keep that conditioning. And that's where I started prep officially. So still higher body fat than I wanted to, but it was like around probably 15, 16%. And I figured 20, 21 weeks, probably enough time to strip things down. I get a little bit more aggressive in the beginning. And I started prep for about 6 weeks. And that's when I kind of hit that stick point. And that's when I brought on Jamie. And that's where the magic happened. The dude just came in, the fucking wizard, and just helped me out and brought me in at my absolute best. So
That's awesome, man. I mean, I've told you countless times, and basically the biggest reason I want to get you on here was just to tell you, as a friend, man, I was so proud of you. You looked great at Universe. It was fun to watch it, both as a friend and just a fan of bodybuilding. I was like, man, this is the definition of not being happy with your physique and getting to a point where you can get on a bodybuilding stage. Um, so basically, man, to wrap it up, I guess food is not the enemy, and TRT is the key to mental health.
I'd say
Nah, no, no, no,
I'd say
no.
it can help.
Yeah, TRT is going to help you if you're sad, and it's going to get you back on the stage. No, man, listen. I guess the real message is no matter how low you think you are or how low you feel, there are avenues to climb out. And whether it be for a bodybuilding stage or for your own just general health, anybody can get there, man, whether you're a bodybuilder or just looking to be healthy.
Yeah.
So listen, man, I can't thank you enough for jumping on. I know you've had a crazy schedule, so thank you. Hopefully the audio works for us. I know we had a few audio issues jumping in here, but dude,
Um,
thanks, man. I appreciate your time. You know that.
yeah, man. Anytime, dude. Anytime whatsoever. Appreciate you.
All right, everybody. Thank you as always for stopping by the framework.